Okay, as we carry on now, I'm going to start using some shading now to firm up all these shapes and just to see if it does give us the forms and the proportions that we are looking for. Okay, so we start to build those. Obviously we can see the shadow inside the area inside the fruit in there, so I'm going to just make this a bit more shadowy, and we can start to see now the shape of the pear being brought out a bit more. Okay, so drawing inside the bowl. Okay, obviously the apple shape needs to start to be firmed up now, so I'm going to start to put in the shape of the apple by the shadows. Now we begin to see something of the shape of the bowl here. The shading on the apple, however, I think is slightly darker than that already, so we're going to start to darken that into the shape of the picture now. Now we can see that it begins to build now. We begin to start to see some of the shadows and the shapes coming out of the picture now, and that's exactly, of course, what you want. Okay. Okay, let's put some shading on the pear just to see if we can bring that out. So there is some shadow made by the apple on the pear shape, so we're going to put some shading there, and then some natural shadows forming around the edge, which isn't so strong in the light, and therefore this side will go into shadow. Just going to try and start to put that round the shape of our pear there. Okay, now part of the line has merged with something else, so we're using the rubber just to clarify where the shape of the object is. Okay, and we start to see it build. Now I can also reinforce the shape by just adding some extra shading in the background, and then you can see the shape will start to appear on the page. Okay, so we have our basic shape in there. I'm just going to put in the edge of this apple, just on the top edge, just there, and I'm going to use the rubber just to get the top of the stem coming out just there like that. Okay, now above that we can see that there's the banana coming to the fore there, so I'm just going to make sure that we match that into our shape, lift it from the rubber and lift the shape there. Just make sure we get this shape around the object there. There we have it. The more shadow you put into the picture, the more depth you create, and obviously if we're creating the illusion of 3D and space, then of course the tone of the work will do that for you and make it much nicer to look at. Okay, so we can start to see this coming to the fore now, so I'm going to start to shade down the bottom of the pear. Now from my angle of view, onto the shape there is quite dark shadow, so I'm going to put that shadow in, and the shadow behind the object should show us the object itself, and it starts to come out of the backgrounds there. Okay, I need to start to firm up the edge of this shape of the pear, and the apple there being quite a rich colour now needs to become darker. So okay, now notice that we've been shading. Much of the picture now is through shading, it's not through drawing details as such, although we will come on to some of those. Okay, so we start to see the shape coming now, perhaps a bit more shadow in the bowl there, so we start to see the shape of these things coming. So there's a bit more shading to be done here at the front of the pear, and I'm going to put the stem in and have it coming around the shape of the bowl. Okay, a bit sketchy on that, so we're going to lift any extra edges that we've created out of there with the rubber. Now we're just layering on the shadows. And I'm using my finger to blend in, because it's a round surface, some of the lines that we've created. Okay. Now I'm going to use the rubber now to lift some of these highlighted areas, which you can see the light is dancing around various parts of this image, quite sharp as well. So I'm going to use the rubber and begin to start to use the paper white, okay, to give us an enhanced view of the picture. Obviously the banana has a tone of colour with it, not just white, so I'm going to put that tone in there. I'm going to smooth it in with my my finger, and some of these shapes around the banana, which are a bit more angular, I'm going to try and make this into planes rather than a round shape. So just see if we can put that in like so. Okay, and then the dark area at the end, we'll just frame the edge of the shape there. Okay, and also there's a line coming across here, which is the part of the fruit, so I'm going to put that line in more or less there and start to just darken that in. These pictures are quite involved, you know, and it's only when you start to, well, get this stage really, that you begin to start to see what it was that you thought you could get when you first started your drawing. Okay, so I'm going to put this edge in here of the banana, stem in there. Okay, smooth that in a little bit. Okay, so we start to see the banana shape is now beginning to look a bit more 3 dimensions. Now the shape just needs to be clarified, the one behind it, so we're just going to bring that in just there, like so, and the stem there. So just see if we can start to just clarify that shape. We need to just clarify the edge of it as well. Okay, so just there like that, and I think it's slightly lighter compared to the background. Okay, now I've used a line there to show the edge, so it might be useful to make that into shadow. Let's get rid of it. Obviously the banana shape has a colour, a kind of yellowy colour, so to make that into a tone, I just use the rubber to clarify the edge of it there. Okay, now that we've more or less got our bowl of fruit in now, so what we're doing now is refining the quality and the shape of the forms of these pieces of fruit there. So it always is necessary to just consider how dark a tone is in relation to the tone next to it, so that it doesn't confuse what you're looking at. Okay, now I'm just going to firm up the shape of the apple, and to darken the tone just behind it there. Of course the apple shape has a sharp shadow just coming in there, and also here it's quite dark as well. So okay, now the edge of the bowl is an interesting one because it has a thickness. So I'm going to try and put the thickness of the edge of the bowl and show it white with the edge of the rubber. The rubber has a point which is useful for us to just try and use and bring out just there like so. Now I need to put some shading in underneath just to clarify the edge of the fruit there and the bowl there. So to just bring that around. Okay, and then obviously if it's not quite curvy enough, then you just need to use the rubber to lift and get the shape that you want. Okay, now I'm going to put some shading in the background just to bring out the edge of the fruit there, and underneath the fruit bowl is just there like so. From our angle of view, I think that's a bit sharp, so I'm just going to just bring that, put an edge on it just there like so, and just bring that to the edge there. Okay, now we're just going to put a tone into the background. So I'm going to try and get rid of the rubber pieces because they can give you a mark that you don't want. Okay, I've obviously got something there, so I'll have to leave that just for now. Don't quite know where that's come from, but in the background here, just a shade of tone just to show it's somewhere in the picture. Might be useful for us to put an edge like we've done with the apples and the other drawings, just to show it's against something. So we put the shading in there like so. I'm going to smooth this in with my finger, and that's kind of useful because we can just clarify the edge of this shape here, which I think needs to be just modified slightly. Okay. And then the fruit bowl has its own shadow, so I'm going to put some shadow in here So you can see the edge of the shading and the fruit bowl there. Okay, let's do that now. Of course, obviously, the more you look at your picture, the more you'll see that there's loads of little things that you can do to enhance what you're actually seeing, one of which is just darkening the shadows in the background of the shapes there. You can see that makes the shape in front stand out, obviously. If we clarify the edge of our pear, just like that, then you can see in the background it becomes actually darker, and I'm going to darken this as well as an extra thing, and start to just see if we can just clarify that, just make that stand as you think it should. Okay, and I haven't put any details yet of the fruit. I've been much more concerned today with the overall shape of it. We'll start to do that in a minute. Okay. I'm using my finger to smooth the shading. Okay, now at some point you need to stand back at your picture and just see if it does show you the 3D aspects that you want. Okay, so I'm going to just put some shadow in the apple itself just here. Okay, and see if we can just make that a slight enhancement there, just to see that looking 3D. Obviously there's quite an unclear edge now, so we just need to firm that with shading in the background and under here as well, just to clarify where all that is. Okay, well, that's looking a bit better. Okay, now I'm going to shade this side of the pear. And I will shade this over here. There's a bit of confusion, I think, in the picture as to where the edge of the pear actually is, so I'm going to just lift where that is there. It's useful to have a rubber with corners on, so that you can be very precise about where you want to start to adjust and change the shapes and the edges of objects and things. So that's quite a nice thing. So just going to darken the shading now for the apple onto the pear shape itself. Okay. Now then, this needs a bit of work down here, doesn't it? So we have to start to smoothen the shading created by the shadow created by the bowl there, so that needs to be just smoothed in there. Okay, so we have some resemblance there of the bowl, the fruit. So it's now time to put some details into the shape of the fruit. So I'm going to do that now in the details there. Okay, just see if we can get that shape to enhance our drawing. Now I'm not going to do this particularly accurately, but I'm just going to show you something just to see what we've got some details in, just to show. Okay, so smooth that in like so. Useful, I think, for the apple to put some of these lines in, just to enhance the shape of the object and to blend those in a bit more. Obviously, the more time you spend on it, the more realistic it'll actually be. Okay, so the last thing we just need to do now is finish off this banana, I think, in the background there. Just get that shape in. I'll put the stem in there, I'll put that shape in there, the end of the banana shape, and then use that to clarify the edge of it. Okay, bit of detail in there, detail in here, enhance that just slightly. Now the stem on this one just seems to be slightly darker in our thing there than we actually shown it, so I'm going to put that in quite dark, and then the edge obviously is quite dark itself in there. Okay. And the last thing I want to do is just clarify around the edges here the shape of the pear and the shape of the apple. I'm going to use the darkening and shadow in the background, okay, just to show the shape of our object there. Okay, so that's going in there like so. I do want to show that there's two bananas in there, so I'm going to use this shape now just to darken this area now here. Okay, use my fingers to blend a little bit. I need to get rid of that outline, of course, so convert that into shading. And then there's quite a sharp shadow area under this top banana there, so I'm going to put that in there as well. Put that shadow in. And then just edge this shape of the bowl like so. And for today I'm going to say that's finished. If I do a close-up of the picture just to finish off, you see that we can see all the tones and forms in there. There we are. There's a draw, bowl of fruit.